Welcome back to MMA Al Dente. I am the jerk-off who picked Leon Edwards to defeat Belal Muhammad. He's going to take away that wrestling. He's going to be the sharper striker on the feet. I've seen them fight before. All right, I'll start with that fight here, which was a fucking disaster for MMA Al Dente, although I did place a hedge bet on Belal Muhammad by decision at plus 350. When the underdog has one path to victory, I play it. And I suppose he came through in a big way for me there, but still a disaster for MMA Al Dente. I thought Leon Edwards was going to win this fight. And I thought it would be I thought he would be taken down. I thought Belal Muhammad would have a little bit of success, but I thought overall Leon would take that wrestling off the table. Go, okay, you got me down. Try doing it again and just be the sharper guy on the feet. And I did put a lot of weight on that first fight, which was a mistake. Belal Muhammad showed up here jacked. He looked physically different, which I never put too much weight on that. But after seeing the performance here, I think he's found that sweet spot where he's not as strong as Kamaru Usman and not as fast as Colby Covington, but he's right in between. Strength and speed, looked as strong as he ever looked and as fast as he's ever looked. And he was able to go through Leon Edwards, bully him around, ripped him to the mat with plenty of different takedowns, tossing him, and was just in his face. And on the feet, the sharper striking thing, I don't know, might have had that one wrong. Leon just wasn't able to get off. And Belal was in his face. I don't want to take away from Belal's victory, just like I don't want to take away from Leon Edwards' victory in his last fight. But I feel like Leon kind of no-showed this one like Colby Covington, where he just, not that he no-showed it, but he froze up in the octagon and said, this is a little too much to figure out. And in the end, like Colby, he had some moments, cut Belal Muhammad open with the rest of it, but too little, too late. And you know what? This is a fight that is 48-47 on two judges' scorecards. On paper, it's a close fight. And I'm sure I'll remember that every time I go back and revisit this fight. But I know in general, I'm always going to think of this as a dominant victory for Belal Muhammad. He looked awesome, and this was the culmination of an incredible winning streak. Where I'm sure he's proven me wrong a bunch of times, but I never envisioned him fighting for the title, never envisioned him winning it, and here he did it. Really incredible win. He's a problem for anybody, any of the top contenders. Tom Aspinall knocked out Curtis Blaydes. This was a very clean victory for Tom Aspinall. He's too fast. He hits hard like those guys, the elite class of heavy hitters, the guys that have knocked out Curtis Blaydes. But he's as fast as Frankie Edgar. It's like not even fair. He's a problem for John Jones, obviously, and anybody below him, anybody in the world. Tom Aspinall's got a lot going for him. I do wish I could see somebody really test him, and not in the way that Andrei Arlovsky tested him by bringing him to round two. Andre did well there, but I want to see Tom Aspinall have to face some real adversity. But I can't fault him for that. I mean, he can knock you out with a jab, and he's darting in so fucking fast like a bantamweight. It's a problem for any heavyweight, and for any heavyweight with a compromised chin, it's probably going to take a minute to put him away. A minute flat, as you see there. So, great win for Tom Aspinall. And for Curtis Blaydes, look, there's no shame in this loss. He's only lost to the best of the best, but it is still another knockout loss, even if they're to the heaviest hitters in the world, which they are, four of the heaviest hitters ever. But Curtis Blaydes, I don't know if he's going to get back to a title fight. He was on a one-fight winning streak to get this one. And I think he's really got to consider his fighting career, because it's different for heavyweights that are getting these big blows to the head. I mean, I doubt he's fighting Tom Aspinall again, but he could be fighting Sergey Pavlovich again. I don't know. He's in trouble at heavyweight, and he's got to protect himself. So time to reevaluate things maybe. And for Tom Aspinall, I can't wait to see him fight again. I just want to say, I see what you guys see with him. He's must see TV and one of the most exciting fighters in the world. And it's fucking thrilling. I would love to see him fight John Jones. I'll be honest, I don't think it's going to happen. But whatever. Unless Stipe gets injured, maybe. Paddy Pimblett beat Bobby Green by technical submission triangle choke. Bobby did not tap, but you don't need the tap to get submitted, and Bobby was submitted for the first time in 15 years. This was an amazing victory for Paddy Pimblett. I thought if he beat Bobby, even by robbery, controversial decision, whatever the fuck else I was speculating on, it would have been impressive. But no judges needed, and he went through Bobby Green in a way that very few people have. Really, nobody has since fucking Dan Lozon or whatever. And he looked phenomenal here. Just on the feet, Bobby. I think Bobby still had time for his striking to take over, for his boxing to take over, but his boxing wasn't leading the fight. And when he tried to take down Paddy, it was like over instantly. Paddy had him in a guillotine before they hit the mat, and from there, framed together a triangle and worked it for a good amount of time. I'd have to rewatch it and see, but he spent some time working that and he cinched it up. And Bobby, who is a very tough guy to get out of there, he got out of there. He went to sleep. Again, he didn't tap. Credit to him, but more credit to Paddy Pimblett. And Paddy, by the way, got 200 grand for that in bonuses. Well deserved. Fucking incredible victory. The moment, I can't say the moment of the night. That might go to Tom Aspinall. But Paddy looked phenomenal. And I'm done treating him like he's some fucking whatever half-ass fighter. He's definitely a viable contender with a win like this. And yeah, I thought Jared Gordon won the fight, but I still think Paddy Pimblett has a lot for anybody. Jared Gordon and all the way up the ladder. So this was phenomenal and a reminder of how dangerous his grappling is. Gregory Rodriguez beat Christian Leroy Duncan. This wasn't such a deadly fight. Gregory Rodriguez is a guy where if he wins the fight, it's probably where you're unconscious. And he was fighting a guy who's very tough to get out of there, Christian Leroy Duncan. Never been finished as an amateur or pro. But Gregory was too much for him, technically. I think Christian Leroy Duncan lost this fight on level 1, which is the footwork battle. I thought he needed to be winning that battle, and I thought he would. But he wasn't. He was caught in power range. Gregory was able to catch him, and he was beating him up. And once he hit that first takedown in round 1, he found his path. He was all over him, and Christian was never really back in that fight. He tried turning things around, but just his attempts became more desperate, spinning shit and whatever, which I thought he did have that advantage in dangerous shit, but you can't play spinning and jumping games with a guy that's looking to rip you to the mat like that. So, great win for Gregory Rodriguez. Awesome to see him win a decision. It's happened before and whatever, but he definitely, he's still a dangerous guy, one of the most dangerous guys in the world, but he showed he can grind for a decision here. Awesome win for him. Speaking of grinding, Arnold Allen beat Giga Chikadze by decision. I thought Chikadze looked really good in round 1, really sharp, where I thought, I might have had this one wrong. But Arnold Allen, despite not going for takedowns, I don't remember if he went for takedowns. If he did, they were shucked off pretty quickly, I think. But he was in his face, and that pressure and the striking of his, while he was a step behind in round 1, I thought he was a half step ahead in rounds 2 and 3. Chikadze was just slowing down. Allen was starting to corner him, and he found a home for his left hand, and he was beating up Chikadze. And I thought he won the fight. I didn't think it was definite, but I thought it was close. But I thought Arnold Allen pulled through with better 2 and 3, rounds 2 and 3. So hard-earned victory for Arnold Allen. For Chikadze, it's another tough loss, and I feel like it's a loss here that, or a win for Arnold Allen. They may not be as respected as well as it should moving forward, but here, the morning after the fight, I can say that was a hell of a battle, and Chikadze is definitely in the realm of beating Arnold Allen. He just wasn't able to do so last night. Nathaniel Wood beat Pineda. I thought Nathaniel Wood looked a little too sharp for Daniel Pineda. Pineda was a step behind technically, and his danger wasn't a factor here. His danger wasn't a factor. He did able to was able to get on top of Nathaniel Wood in the end in round 3, but mainly just racked up some points with top control. I think he swept him with a Kimura at one point. Or was that a different fight? I don't know. But Nathaniel Wood was just technically sharper than him and was beating him to the punch. Very difficult to catch, and I thought it was pretty much a victory on cruise control. Even in round 3, Pineda, he kept him at bay, Daniel Pineda, and never let him mount any significant offense. So, comfortable win for Nathaniel Wood against a tricky guy in Daniel Pineda, but not tricky enough. Bruna Brasil was too tricky for Molly McCann. I thought she looked really good here. She was able to fight her fight outside striking at range on the back foot, and I thought she looked really sharp. Never let Molly get inside, not too much anyway, where Molly can make it about power and physicality. I thought Molly would be able to get inside and bully her in one way or another, but Bruna kept herself on the outside, and whenever Molly would get close, Bruna would come into her, crash into her with some takedowns, and she secured some really good control and, in general, out grappled and outstruck Molly McCann. Awesome win for her. I really wish I fucking bet on her. But Molly McCann was neutralized at home. Jake Hadley beat Callan Loughran by decision. This was a similar type of fight without really the grappling, I guess. But I thought Callan Loughran was definitively bigger and stronger than Jake, unlike Molly McCann. She's not bigger than Bruna Brasil. And I thought Callan was going to rough him up on the inside. But Jake Hadley was the faster fighter, and he made this fight about speed. Never let Callan get in on him. Was the sharper striker, too. His strikes are just better, strike for strike. Callan Loughran's more power-based and slower. And that was the difference. He got chewed up by the speed of Jake Hadley and the movement. And Jake took this fight on very, very short notice. So that was extra impressive. I don't know how well this win will age, meaning I don't know what kind of future Callan Loughran has in the UFC. But again, the morning afterwards, I can say this was a great win for Jake Hadley. I consider it a solid victory for him, moving up in weight and, a catch weight fight and taking on a guy that was on a full camp and ready to go, and Jake cleanly outpointed him. It was fucking awesome. Muhammad Mokaev beat Manel Kape. This was not so awesome. Really could have gone either way, first of all. I'll say that it was a unanimous decision, I see, but really could have gone either way for either fighter. But Muhammad Mokaev, he was able to put enough fear into Manel Kape with both his striking and his wrestling, which was largely neutralized throughout this whole fight. But still, Manel Kape wasn't able to make him pay for some missed takedown attempts, especially in the end, where I thought he would and separate himself from Alex Perez, who found himself in that same spot. But Mokaev's just dangerous enough where he can freeze a lot of great fighters, and he froze Manel Kape enough to make this a close fight that went to a decision. I really thought it could have gone either way. I thought Manel Kape stole round 1 at the end with the one clean punch, as the commentator said. And that really is what I thought happened there. Nothing happened really throughout this whole fucking fight. And I should mention, Mokaev was pretty much kicked out of the UFC. They didn't re-sign him. His contract was up. I'm sure there was some haggling going on for money and whatever, especially because Mokaev is on quite a streak and he considers himself a high-profile fighter. But the UFC's been pissed off at him. First of all, fighting backstage with Manel Kape. And I'm not even blaming that on Mokaev because I don't know exactly what happened. And I think Manel Kape fought him at like the gym a few months ago or whatever. So I don't know. Even if Mokaev attacked him a week ago or whatever, a few days ago, could have been retaliation for that. So whatever. I'm not blaming anybody, but I'm saying that shit definitely pisses off the UFC at some point. And you could tell. I mean, I when I did my videos. I said, oh, he's been bumped. Now this is the main event of the prelims. It's not. It was the opening fight of the televised prelims. These guys were demoted. They were pissed off at Mokaev anyway. And after a win like this, even though it's a win and he's 7-0, and now he stepped over Manel Kape. You know, if he goes to PFL, everybody will know the PFL champion beat Manel Kape. And the UFC said, fuck it. You can have him. You deal with him. So they do not like him. They don't want to give anybody the opportunity to get the undefeated potential Fedor that can loom over their, bantamweight division or whatever it is, flyweight division. But they don't like him. So he pissed them off enough where, whatever, maybe he'll go be happier in the PFL. I'm sure he's got a shot at $1 million. But this was a disappointing fight. Oban Elliott beat Preston Parsons. He shut down the wrestling of Preston Parsons. Parsons, I thought, needed the wrestling. Well, I didn't think he needed the wrestling. I think he's a decent striker, Parsons, but he is much better when he's winning the wrestling battle, and he was losing it here to Oban Elliott. Oban Elliott was shutting him down and bullying him, and Oban Elliott had great cardio, and I thought it was pretty much a clean sweep for Oban Elliott. Preston Parsons looked tough. He looked sharper at moments, but in general, I thought he was losing. And Oban Elliott never let up and looked very good. Hard-earned victory over Preston Parsons. Another fight that I don't know how well it'll age, but I can tell you I thought Preston should have won this fight going into it. So on that front, great win for Oban Elliott. Although, what the fuck do I know? I'm the guy who picked Marcin Prachnio to beat Modestas Bukauskas. And Bukauskas got him out of there with a submission, which I never expected. But what really broke my heart is that he did it 40 seconds after my bet would have cashed. I thought if this fight does end, and I thought Bukauskas can win this fight, I really thought if either guy finished it, it'd be by knockout. But I expected it to go under 2.5 rounds, and it did not. This was a hard-earned victory for Bukauskas, who I thought was a step ahead, but still had some dicey moments. Got clipped with a big head kick. And, of course, Prachnio was pressuring him. But Bukauskas was great on his back foot, and when he was the one doing the pressuring, he was landing better shots. It was just a clean performance from him altogether. And the fact that he did have some dicey moments makes it look even better for him, because he's a guy who I've had some doubt in his durability. But hard-earned victory, and he got it done with a submission. A rare thing for either guy, but awesome to see the third-round submission, which of all 6 results that are possible for either guy winning, knockout, submission, or decision, Bukauskas by submission in round 3 would have been my last option there. So that was a surprise. What wasn't a surprise was Sam Patterson winning by arm triangle in round 1. He was just too much for Kiefer Crosbie. I thought Kiefer needed to give himself more chances of knocking him out on the feet. Sam Patterson's only got 2 losses. They're clean knockouts. And I'm sure that was the plan for Kiefer Crosbie, but just wasn't able to make much happen. And by the time Sam got it to the ground, it was over pretty quickly. I mean, he fought that arm triangle for a good bit of time, I believe. But Sam just kept adjusting his position, never let up, kept it tight, and eventually forced a tap. Another great first round victory for Sam Patterson. I feel like I didn't learn too much about him, to be honest, here, but he reinforced my opinion that he's fucking deadly and deadly early. Michael Parkin. Is that his fucking name now? Mick Parkin beat Lucas Brzeski. I know that's his name. By knockout. This surprised me a lot. Really surprised me. Brzeski, first of all, in the interest of full disclosure, I wasted money on Brzeski. I said I wasn't, or that maybe I was, or whatever, but his odds jumped drastically, which had me feeling a little suspicious. Most of the time I think, I probably just got this one wrong and everybody sees something I don't, but sometimes it's just way too drastic where it's like, what's this, some fucking James Krause shit or something? But Brzeski was +4 something his money line, and his decision, which I thought was his only path to victory, was +750. So that's what I ended up playing right down the fucking drain. His chin was a concern for not so much in this fight, just in general, because he's been knocked out twice, and these guys are heavyweights. But I didn't think it was in such danger in this fight. Mick Parkin corrected that and knocked him out in round one. Just an incredible win for Mick Parkin. He's a guy who's hasn't had that big moment, even though he's done well in the UFC. Here he gets that big moment, and he gets it in the right location. Just a great win for Mick Parkin. And Shauna Bannon beat Alice Ardelean. I forget how they were saying it, but whatever. Alice gave a good battle for Shauna Bannon, where she, I thought, made this a very close fight. She won round two, and round one was close. Or maybe I had that reversed. Either way, she was definitely competitive in this fight. In round three, the girl that took the fight on a few days' notice wasn't really there. I thought Shauna Bannon outworked her, but this was still a very close fight that could have gone either way. And Alice Ardelean was tough when she needed to be, maybe a little too smiley and all that, the rest of it. But she crowded Shauna Bannon, ripped her to the mat a few times, even if it's with head and arm throws and whatever. And gave a good battle, secured top position, but Shauna Bannon was the better workhorse here, and she outworked her. She was able to outjoust her on the feet. Those kicks were there for her a little early, and certainly in the end. And her hands came alive for her too after some point once Alice Ardelean slowed down. So hard-earned victory for Shauna Bannon, even if it's over a girl who took the fight on short notice. She did what she needed to do and was the better woman in round three. And for Ardelean, she's going to live to fight another day in the UFC. And yeah, she didn't look bad at all in defeat. Overall, not a great event, not for MMA Al Dente and not for the UFC. This wasn't an utter fucking disaster, but a lot of decisions. And I know Dana White said, what did Dana White say? He said he's done with the bonuses. He's not succumbing to pressure when everybody's at the press conference saying, yeah, 300 grand, yeah, give him $1 million. He's not doing it anymore. He's going, never again. It's fucking 50K, and you'll be fucking happy with that. Keep your mouth shut. This fucking event scarred him. So, whatever. But that's the wrap up. Congrats to the new champ and the old champ, or the Intercontinental Champion, Tom Aspinall and Paddy Pimblett and all the rest of the UFC folks. Like, share, subscribe, all that horse shit, and check out my other videos.